And we're live. Hi, everybody.
Yay!
Welcome to another live discussion of Literarily Wasted. I am Adam.
Christy.
Talia!
Yes.
Say that again. I think your sound was breaking up just a little bit. Say your names again.
Oh,
Talia!
Lucas.
Hey. In
Hey.
case you're wondering, we are coming to you live from our own houses because we're in quarantine because there's some kind of crazy virus going around. We don't want to catch from anybody, including our best buds, Talia and Lucas. So we are separated, but that's fine. We can still talk about the book. Let's do some shout outs in the comments on YouTube. We got Gene and Giggles Vids and Tammy holding down the fort. Hey, y'all. On Facebook, Gene says hi also. He's in two places at once. Caitlin, Vicky, hey. Rachel, hey, Scott, hey, Jody. Peter made it twice in a row. Congratulations.
Go, Peter.
What?
Hey, Virginia. Hey, Cindy. Hey, Gabrielle. Everybody's here. So we're going to have a good time tonight despite the quarantine. I hope y'all are well and staying healthy. We've got a book to talk about today, don't we?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
It is a book.
it is.
This is a book.
So tonight we're talking about the whole book and the second half of the book of Hard-Boiled Wonderland and the End of the World by Haruki Murakami.
Murakami.
Haruki Murakami.
Today is the day, the end of the month live stream. Got to remind y'all that if you leave a comment and you participate in your discussion, you could win our Mostly Mystery gift prize, which is a little different.
Which this month,
yeah,
can I
you
tell
can
them
tell
about it? If you didn't see, your arm is taking up the whole chair. If you didn't see the graphic, Books A Million has been kind enough to donate a digital gift card to replace our Mostly Mystery box this month. And that digital gift card is good to shop online at booksamillion.com, but also booksamillion.com/Second and Charles, or I think it's Rare and Collectibles. It's on our webpage. We'll find it and we'll send it to you if you win. But that's where Second and Charles lists a bunch of their cool Rare and Collectibles stuff online as well. So $100 to shop through all of the cool stuff and just have it shipped to your home so that we can all be practicing safe social distancing.
Yes, and it'll be nice and sanitized for you when we send it over.
Yes.
So this is exciting. We're still doing the prize. Nothing can stop us from doing Literarily Wasted. That's the cool part about this.
No.
But let's talk about the book. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I guess general impressions. Talia, you seem like you have a lot to say.
Okay. Well, so I don't know, honestly, because I will say the second half of the book especially had me repeatedly going, wait, what? But for different reasons. Sometimes because it was some sort of revelation where I was like, wait, what? Or sometimes because something that he said, or he kept talking about his penis, and I would be like, wait, what? And then sometimes, like when the professor is explaining what they did to his brain.
Oh, that was a big old section.
There was like pages of me being like, wait, what? Going back and reading it and being like, I just felt like there's that time in The Office where Michael Scott is like, okay, explain this to me as if you think I'm a 5-year-old. And I wanted to be like, I don't understand what's happening.
Jess said, I want to say I like how he is so ADD in Hard-Boiled Wonderland. And yes, ADD doesn't begin to describe it for me.
Well,
what?
She's saying that the character is ADD. But you're saying you're ADD.
But
I felt like the author is
I thought
ADD.
the author is ADD.
Okay. But yeah, y'all chime in with your overall impressions in the comments. Christy, what did you think?
I am still figuring that out, actually. I finished it earlier today, about 6 or 7 hours ago, and I have been thinking about it all day since then, just trying to figure out, like, what happened?
Well, I guess we'll
definitely be talking about that, but, like, just also, I don't know, I enjoyed it. I really did like it, but I am still working through it.
Yeah, I would say the same for myself. This one was probably the hardest one for me to get, well, this one and Interview with the Vampire, but like this one was hard to get through for a different reason. Interview with the Vampire was just, I did not enjoy that one, but this one I really wanted to enjoy it. But there was just so much kind of like, as much as they tried to get me hooked in the story, there was so much that also seemed like it tried very hard to like push me away and like, or just leave me with a sense of indifference almost, which is like the worst place you can be.
Indifference is a great word for me and my takeaway, because I listened to it on Audible and I finished it about 5 o'clock today.
Wow.
This is the first book that I've listened at 2x speed.
Oh, wow.
I started at 1 and I was like, let's go to 1.25. And then I think I was maybe at 1.5 by the time we hit the end of our first discussion. And then I was like, oh my gosh, because we've been doing a lot of extra content, and it crept up on me like it always does. And I was like, you know what? Pedal to the metal, baby. We got to go 2x on this. And I can get into my details as we discuss, but I also finished the book on Audible and I went, okay. Let's check this one back in and get my credit back.
See, I wasn't indifferent. For me, it was just very uneven. There were some parts of the book that I really enjoyed and I thought were super interesting. But then I was so turned off by the fact that I completely didn't understand other portions of the book. So I was like literally just checking in and checking out repeatedly from the same story.
Caitlin said that's so confusing.
Yeah,
well.
let's take a look at some of the comments here on YouTube. We Giggles finished it today, just like Christy and Lucas. I finished it yesterday. Caitlin said
I finished it 2 days after our last live stream.
So
Sorry.
Caitlin says on Facebook, I powered through for the sake of the club. Me too. I just didn't care about the story of the characters. The stakes weren't high enough. The end of the world was the end of a character I had no connection to. Everybody's impressed with you listening to it at like 2x speed. You're like Data in Star Trek. Matt says, when we first started reading, I found myself enjoying the modern Tokyo bits but in the second half, I really enjoyed the end of the world town bits. Might have to do with what's going on outside in the world when we moved to the second half. That is interesting that it kind of colored, like the real world kind of colored your interpretation of the book there. I think the end where Jess says, I think the end where it merged suckered me in real hard because it all came together kind of like a zipper, which is interesting because it not only did it come together, but it came together hard. Like for the first half of the book, we're going through and we're like, this is so mysterious. This is very intriguing.
Are these stories related?
Are they related? What's going on? Who's who? And then all of a sudden he's like, bam! This is what's happening! This is what it is! It's like, he explains it to you like, there's like a whole like 5 pages of straight exposition.
Your dog looks so frightened when you were doing
that.
Hey,
Bud.
Yeah, Bud's like,
hey, Bud, I haven't seen
so Cindy, live long and prosper.
Hey.
Cindy. She says, I'm a mathematician and a computer geek, and that chapter was a struggle for me.
Oh my God, that makes me feel so much
Thank you, Cindy.
better.
You were
Cindy.
smarter than I. And I listening to it, I was trying to decompress, and it was a struggle for me. I just kind of gave up, and I was like, where are we going with this?
I do agree with Jess though, like where it all came together, that was really interesting, and I did get really pulled in, but then the end wasn't satisfying for me.
Let's get
Katie's,
to the end in a minute.
Yeah.
But what were you saying, Lucas?
No, I'll talk about. Katie had a comment about the end that we'll come back to, Katie.
Yeah. So before, because like we can get to the end, and I think we'll have. This is what I said to Christy after I finished it. I was like, either I'm gonna have a lot to say about this book, or like I don't have anything to say. I don't even know what to say. But I guess we should just sort of talk our way through this piece by piece. So like what happened in the second half of the book was I was like,
how do you even?
So in the real world, they go down into this cave place, in search of the grandfather. They find the grandfather. The grandfather vomits exposition for pages. He figures out that he's going to basically like cease to exist in the real world and sort of live in his own mind forever. He's going to be
which I don't get, but
sure,
continue.
yeah. And then kind of putzes around until it happens. He goes on a date with a librarian. They have what actually felt like a genuine connection, which I was a little weary about at first. I thought he was just trying to get laid when he first called her up.
I really wanted that meal that they had.
Yes.
Oh God!
Did you try every
Oh
single
yeah.
dish?
When
Ugh.
but okay, but you're talking about the Italian meal?
Yeah.
I thought that was so out of place though, because it's like, and I will have the
I
formaggio,
didn't
the
care. I
belle
will always love anything
batito, and
that
it was
has
like
to do with
when
food. It didn't matter.
I was
to
like,
me.
okay, I've never been to Japan or Tokyo, let alone any Asian country, but I don't even, I don't even, and this is me knowing a tiny bit of Italian through like studying opera, but like I wouldn't go to an Italian restaurant and order like that, and especially in the audiobook. In the audiobook, it's like paragraph exposition of.
You don't think that Japanese people eat Italian food?
No, but I mean the way that
No.
you like for primi, I'll have a this and
Whatever.
that.
Have you never watched whatever? Who's that super annoying lady,
Giada De
Giada, on her
Laurentiis or
show?
whatever.
And
Yeah,
she
but
just
it was
talks like this about cooking food, and then she's like, and then you want to grate the parmigiana, and I'm like, I don't like you.
But
anymore.
both of them like were
So
going
when
through.
you
it,
read the actual text of the
it
book,
bothered me.
when they order food, just to let you know, like when you're reading it, all of those words are in like italics, and like they just like there's like a ton
Oh,
of
we can't hear it. Oh,
Italian words. What? Oh no, that's not.
Yeah,
that's
just kidding.
Delayed.
well, what impressed me about that part was that they ordered so much that they made the server uncomfortable.
That's my kind of ordering right
I
there.
loved
Yeah.
it.
So they go on a date. They have dinner. They have each other, and then they go out for breakfast or something. And then he kind of wanders around until he disappears. Meanwhile, in the other half of the book,
In the town.
he is trying to work with his shadow. His shadow's trying to escape. His shadow fakes being ill, or as ill, like more ill than he seems to be. He kind of falls in love with the librarian. He goes to the power station and gets an accordion. And then he remembers Danny Boy, which reminded me of Schitt's Creek.
Me too.
And then finally the sort of climactic moment of that is that he and the shadow decide they're going to escape through the whirlpool. And then he's like, "You go on without
Well,
me."
no, but he figures out that he can
Oh yeah.
he can get the librarian's mind back, and he decides to like pursue that.
Yeah,
Yes. So,
by sucking up all the
but the end game,
soul juice.
the end game there is so they can live in the woods together, because you can't live in the town
If you
proper
have a
if you have a mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Yeah, it felt like.
Yeah.
Did you ever play Myst on PC? It's an old Windows game.
I
It felt
could
like
not.
the town felt like the town felt like Myst
like
to me,
slow
and it was
pointy clicky.
slow and pointy clicky, and like, okay, this looks kind of pretty, but I don't care.
Dan says that, say what we will, this book is absolutely made for gaming the book. Okay, game on. Let's try it.
Gaming the book. Oh
Hey, I'll
God.
need something to do.
We do need something to do.
We do need
we're in
something to do.
quarantine. Let's
Thank
take
you,
a look
Dan.
at what other people are saying, because I think there's a good conversation going over there on YouTube. Roberta says Murakami was inspired by the existentialists, and this book has echoes of Kafka, like the king of unsatisfying endings. I got you. I can feel you there.
Oh, talk about a fizzle, man. Just
I didn't think that.
Well,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, I want to talk about the end very much.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
don't think the ending was
What do you wanna read more?
disappointing.
Let's see what other people are saying. Jeff's on YouTube. Hey man, oh no, he's on both.
What?
what? Love
I think
those
the
people.
books like this just require multiple readings. First time through, you just kind of get the basic plot. The next time through, you can work through the details. Uh,
And I think Jeff had posted an article in the group, right, that kind of delved a little bit deeper into some of the meanings, and I purposefully did not look at it because I wanted to finish, but
I
I will go back and read that
It was a
because
really good
I could.
article. It talked about
Was
like
it?
some of the stuff that's lost in translation, and we can talk about that
oh yeah, Kristen's
in a
got all
minute.
sorts
I
of stuff.
took some notes. It was a
Okay,
really good
All right,
article.
I'll let
though.
you take that, Christy.
Other folks are saying, Gene says someday maybe I'll read it again. Jeff says he's not going to. Mike brings up a good point. I like that. I like that after the skull started glowing in the real world, he was just like, "That's weird. Let's go eat."
Let's go eat. Let's go eat all the Italian.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that felt surreal to me, like because it felt like this is a normal-ish world to some degree, but now there's these weird like little water sewer creatures that are
Yeah.
trying to
That
hypnotize
you never
us.
see.
Don't get the inklings.
So there, I don't know, because sometimes it felt like it was supposed to be written in the normal real world, and then like, but these very weird supernatural elements were introduced where I was like, that's not where I thought we were going.
Caitlin says we never actually saw an inkling. Sometimes it's scary not to see the monster, like the Reavers in Firefly, but it got to be so confusing with the inklings. They're monsters, but they worship weird fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole part felt, I don't know, it felt kind of forced. That it's like I was really interested at the beginning, like the first chapter when he goes underground and you've got this thing and the waterfall, and I was like, oh cool, there's this, but it, I don't know, it felt almost more fantastical than the
Well, that's where I
town.
thought, I wonder if that is also like a lost in translation thing. If this was more, if a lot of that came from the Japanese culture. Like, I haven't really read anything written by
You want to talk about
other
that?
Japanese
The
authors.
article?
So I don't know.
Yeah, we can talk about the article. It's they talked about a couple of different things, and we talked about part of it in the last live discussion, but I'll go over it again. In Japanese, there's 3 different first-person pronouns for I, and each iteration of the man used a different version. So the Tokyo man used the polite and most formal version of I. The man from the town with the walls was more casual, and the shadows used a tough and sometimes rude version of I. But when it got translated, of course, we missed all of that. And they did do past tense, normal past tense, and present tense, but I totally missed that. And even when we talked about it last time, I still didn't pick up on it when I continued reading.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't either.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah. The other things, in Japanese, there's this word kokoro, which means like mind, heart, soul, and inner self. It means everything, right? So, well, when it got translated to English, it's just mind. And because that incorporated so
okay.
much, yeah.
So
Okay,
we missed a lot.
yeah, that feels a lot
Yeah.
deeper to
And then-
me.
So basically, we all need to become fluent in Japanese.
Well,
And then do this
yeah,
book
and I was
again.
so
ahead.
disappointed not to get that version of the story and to get those things, because like that sounds really, really cool. And the other thing that was missing was in the Japanese text, apparently relationships are stronger and more obvious, but in English, everyone seems like strangers.
Yeah, that's true. And it doesn't, I mean, yeah, they do feel sort of like sort of a superficialness to all of the interactions.
Yeah.
Hi, Julie Wheeler is here. Hey, just saying hi. So Roberta on YouTube is, trying to contextualize this for us. Dual narratives plus weirdly unsatisfying endings are very Murakami, very Japanese fiction. It's not always easy for Western, especially American readers, and I feel a victim of that, and I feel bad. I should expand my my horizons in storytelling.
Well, it made me wonder, like, what is his tour de force? Like, what is his Lord of the Rings, or I don't know. I can't
Well,
even
he's
think of another.
hugely popular, and is this a good first book for him, or?
Because I'd like to. I don't want to just discount him with my experience with this book.
Yeah, I'd love to read something
I'd
else
love to
from
read
him,
some more.
for
So
sure.
if you've read some of his stuff, please chime in and give some recommendations as to what What is his main thing?
Scott just said he feels it helped when Murakami, started writing in English first later on.
Oh,
So maybe some
well,
stuff.
that's talented.
like-
I'm gonna start writing in Japanese now.
So Jennifer says she's heard good things about 1Q84.
Yeah, that's really popular.
Okay.
And on
I've heard of that one.
Goodreads, a lot of people say that this isn't a good book to start with. It's one of his weaker ones, which this is the first one I've read. But my cousin Emily loves Commander. Oh man, I just had it in my head. I don't remember.
Roberta on YouTube is saying that the Wind-Up Bird Chronicle is Murakami's Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I've heard of that one
much
too.
more accessible. Also, cats.
Yeah, Scott agreed with the Wind-Up Bird.
Kafka on the Shore, and 1Q84.
Okay.
I would love to try another book from him because I do think he's a very interesting author. I'm happy to see that comment from earlier from the mathematician computer geek who was like, because I just wondered, I had a lot of self-doubt while reading this book and was like, maybe I'm just not smart enough to read this book.
Okay, well, I've held y'all back from talking about the ending. Do you want to just let's try to talk about the ending?
Yes.
Let's try.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Okay. So when I say that I found the ending unsatisfying, I would like to embellish on that because for me, it wasn't like, oh, I just didn't like the ending or, oh, it just was too abrupt or what I was unsatisfied with is I didn't understand what was going to happen to him. I didn't know literally if this was like him physically dying and maybe his mental existence was going to continue on another plane, or if he was going to die and then wake up but be like a different personality, like if another portion of him was taking over and he was just blind to this world. I think for me that was unsatisfying, as once again we've discovered like I like answers, but I think that's where I just wanted to know what was going to happen to his physical body.
Well,
like
he's
is he now
frozen.
or is he now comatose and just living within his brain? Like that's what bugged me.
I was confused too. Also, we can talk about this a little bit, but I felt no connection to any character, and by the end of it, I was so mad that
I felt a huge
the
connection
author,
to the chubby girl.
Yeah, well, I like Chubby Girl the best, but I was so frustrated that he can't just call her anything else but the Chubby Girl, and I want to do is it Alt F or Control F, a find for the Chubby Girl to see how many times this author references that character. So I was super frustrated, and then it was like, oh, and I was confused just like you were. I was like, so is he gonna go get frozen so they can sleep together eventually, or it was like, okay, bye.
Or is she making that up
blah
because
blah
she's
blah.
cray-cray? I don't know.
I don't. To me, it was a dead fizzle, and I literally pulled up Audible and returned the book because I was so disconnected from everything, and if I had been turning a page, but like turning my audio page, I was like, don't care, don't care, don't care, don't care. So I don't want to say where this ranks yet.
Dan
I'll do
felt
that.
Connected to the bottles of
Control
whiskey.
F. Thank you, Cindy. I don't want to say
Don't
where
rank
this
it
ranks.
yet.
I'll save that to the till the end, but we'll
Chrissy,
see.
what did you think?
I think it could have ended in a lot of ways. I think it did end in a lot of ways, and I think that's just something that we have to choose and figure out for ourselves. Like, since he got disconnected from his shadow, does that mean that since his shadow left, does he wake up? Is he not in a coma?
Yeah, is that the part that wakes up and gets to continue life in his body?
Yeah, or did his
what?
shadow die when he went in the whirlpool and got abandoned? And if his shadow's dead, then he is stuck in the town. Like, I don't know what, it could have been anything. And I think that's one of the things I've been grasping with for all day since I finished the book. Like, what happened?
So here's a good take on YouTube. Amber over there says, I think this is the first book I've read that I've enjoyed and didn't understand it. I like answers. I like tidy endings, but man, this book was trippy and I totally enjoyed the ride. And I think so.
Nice.
I can dig that.
So
That's good.
Here's
good
what I was
take.
trying to grasp with the ending. And here's I wanted to put myself in a mind state of okay, he ended the book. It's like Gandalf. A wizard is never late. He arrives precisely when he means to. He ended the book precisely where he meant to.
Yep.
Like, and I have to keep telling myself, like, there is a reason why it does not continue, and that we don't know what happened. So what am I to take away here at the ending when it just kind of like is going and then just like, we're done. Goodbye. It just like checked out. So like, and then I got to the ending and I think I was sitting next to Christy and I was just like, huh. Because then there were no more pages. But you know, it does leave questions. Like, you know, there's the whole idea of if he stays in the town and he still has a piece of his mind left, then he cannot live in the town. He's trying to create this sort of isolated, partially minded existence for him and this librarian in the woods. And are we all in agreement that the librarian is the same librarian from the library in the real world?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I kind of took it at that.
Well, I think maybe it's a version of her that he made in his brain, but it's not actually connected to the literal version of her in the real world.
Well, it's not actually her, right? Because it's all in his head. But yeah, it's his like sort of
his representation.
Yeah, ideal representation.
Yeah, I agree with that. And when we had the last live discussion at the halfway point, I was convinced the librarian in the town was the chubby girl, and I do not think that anymore. I think that's definitely a representation of the librarian from Tokyo.
Vicky says the ending reminded her of the pretension of Inception's ending with the spinning top, which Christy hasn't seen. So
Christy hasn't seen it. That's a good quarantine view.
I have it on Blu-ray.
Sure. Do it.
But let's see. Giggles Vids. I wonder if now that the end of the world him is discovered unpacking minds from his dreams, he might be able to make a new pathway junction thing and fully break out of the wall. Which is these are the things that I was wondering. Like, okay, if he's sort of breaking the mold in his own head world, like his character is kind of breaking through, right? So there's got to be possibilities there. Like either he's going to find a way out. Well, actually, no, he's not, because he can't. He decided not to leave, and I was just like, I think I was disappointed when he didn't leave.
But his shadow left, so we don't really know what it means.
That's true.
And Adam, you said something. You said that like the ending is exactly what the author meant for it to be. It's very deliberate, and I think that's really interesting, and that's how he wrote the whole book. And it's so impressive how he was able to like tell these two stories and then intertwine them in the end. And I was just really impressed with the whole thing and how creative it was.
Jody has a good comment. She said, the ending seemed to be a literary device of come up with your own ending interpretation. Write a paper and defend your position. And I think that's a really good take, Jody, because yes, it felt like something I would have had to read in some kind of literature class that I didn't want to read, and then I had to write a paper. But I don't have to write a paper. I get to chat with you guys on the internet, and that's way more fun.
I do have a question for the class. Did anyone else have a moment like I did when I went back and looked at the map in the beginning of the book and was like, oh, the map of the end of the world is his brain.
Yeah.
It's his brain. It's the shape of a brain. It's a brain. And then I saw it and I went, oh, okay.
So Jennifer's comment, I just saw this pop up on Facebook. This is a great comment. I think it's a commentary on what utopia is, because in theory, the town is utopia, but you lose all sense of self because there's nothing to challenge you. We need pain, hardship, and uncertainty to feel alive. And that's a really solid takeaway.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the better sections, where it's like if we don't have pain and suffering, then we don't have love and we don't have compassion, or I forget all the words they use there. But
basically, you have to have the full spectrum of human emotion, or you get none of it. It's all or nothing.
Yeah.
Which is there's a lot there to get to that. Like there's the whole dividing of the mind and the and like I had to remind myself that this book started with a professor who had the ability to like remove sounds. Where did that go? I thought that was gonna like
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's a
that
great
definitely did
point.
not
come
come
into
into
play
play.
there.
And what happened? So if this was here's another kind of fall flat moment like that for me, Adam. If this was all in his head, then like what's the point of all these like semi-autex and like these goons coming into his home and busting everything up? It was just like he would set stuff up and never go anywhere with it. And then like to your point, I totally kind of forgot about that. It's like why even talk about
Yeah,
it?
I was wondering, like, I mean, that just seemed like a case of industrial warfare,
Well,
really.
and in the first half of the book, they made such a big deal out of his meeting with what Junior and Big Boy, and then nothing came of that. He even like decided these are the ones I'm gonna trust, and he thought that they were independent from the factory and the semiotics or whatever. And then
Yeah, the last thing we heard of him was chubby girl in pink shot one of them and was like bye, and
Yeah.
that was it.
She's like, I'm gonna live in your apartment now. I'll fix the
Yeah,
door.
I want the book
Bye.
about her
I can-
because she sounds like a Laura Croft.
she's kind of badass.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, like she's navigating these caverns and she's like, but
And she's still 17.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
girl has got her life together.
she's like a Asian.
I mean,
Elle
she definitely
Woods.
needs to be around more people,
It's like-
but I
It's
really
like
like
Johnny
her.
Quest.
What?
No, nobody gets the Johnny Quest reference.
I got Johnny Bravo.
No.
No.
So we talked
No.
about the librarian in the town representing the librarian in Tokyo. But do any other of the characters in the town represent anybody in Tokyo, do y'all think?
Oof.
Well, there were so few characters, though. I mean, when you boil it down,
Well, you have the
there's
colonel and the gatekeeper. Those are really the only ones that
And
had
the-
any
the
personality.
dudes digging holes for some reason.
Yeah, but we weren't even introduced to them.
The hole diggers.
you've got the waiter.
I didn't like the gatekeeper, and he had a very ominous tone to me personally. The only thing that I could think is if you wanted to draw a connection between the professor and the colonel, but you'd have to try pretty hard because they don't automatically connect for me.
Just because there's old man.
Yeah, and he lived like a loner life, so there weren't really any other people in his life that I felt like he would have created in this mental brain world.
So here's something that I grasp onto because I was trying to find something. Just like trying to find anything. And this is sort of related, but like he did have a bit of an arc, both in the real world and in the town. In the real world, what I thought
agree.
was fascinating was when we're introduced to him, we're introduced to this very square fellow who is very regimented. He has his routines. He bought a car so that was good for grocery shopping, and that's it. And by the end of it, when he realizes sort of what's happening to him, and he decides to sort of let loose, he goes and rents like the craziest car he can find, and like they order a ton of food at the he doesn't go nuts because he sits around a laundromat.
He also
but, like,
does it after
Yeah.
he sits at the laundromat to dry that girl's clothes.
But like
That's
It's
so.
so
And he
bizarre.
bought the librarian. Was it nail
yeah, fingernail
clippers?
clippers.
Yeah.
They're really nice
like,
nail
I
clippers.
spent 2,800 yen on this set of nail clippers.
Yeah, but
because they didn't have because the woodworking. What was it? It was something about
But do you
woodworking.
know how much 2,800 yen is? That's not that much.
It's like
Was
It's
it
like
2,800,
$5.
28,000? I don't know.
um,
Anyway, that was very weird. And she's like, "That's great. Let's sleep together."
You're
4
right,
times.
Scott. As the great Huey Lewis says, it's hip to be square. But like he as his life sort of as his paradigm unraveled, it was interesting to see how he handled it. And I'm sure that some of it was lost in translation, because all of it seemed to be kind of like like all of the interactions and all of his thoughts were just sort of like matter of fact and stuff. But I don't know, the way that he unraveled was like not fully, but just like there was a little loose thread that I don't know.
Well, one thing I really enjoyed was when he finally lost it with the professor. Like, I guess after he was explaining everything, like our main character,
He's like, I am
yeah,
bad.
he was pissed off and he was screaming, and I was like, yes, finally. Like he didn't even
Nice.
react when like Junior and Big Boy were trashing his house and then slit his stomach open.
While holding his penis.
Well, yeah, that.
But it was nice. I agree. It was nice to see that emotion from him because you said before, like everything about him was like matter of fact. But to me, it wasn't even that. He was almost just like meh about everything. And what's her face even called him out on it. She was like, every time I say anything, you respond by basically saying maybe or perhaps. Like make a statement, man. Do something.
Yeah, your favorite phrase is maybe so.
Yeah.
So yeah, y'all are having good conversations on Facebook and YouTube too.
Love it.
Leanne said she just got off work, almost.
Hey,
finished.
Leanne.
So,
Hey.
hey,
Welcome.
Leanne, welcome. You may have been here for a while. We may
No,
have
I see. I
missed
see where
that.
she joined. It was recent.
Welcome to everybody.
but,
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Can we talk about the shadow for a minute?
Yes.
I feel like we touched on the shadow, but I don't know. Like the shadow was such an interesting character, and it was so much to me more than a shadow. Like
He's the most forceful version of him.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
like sort of the. I don't want to get into like Freud, but he's like.
His like the id and
yeah.
the ego. Yeah, I was thinking about that.
But like here's a who's sort of fully realized, despite being a shadow. Like I had no idea how this was going to manifest itself, and they're like, "Let me just cut your shadow off," and all of a sudden the shadow's like, well, "I'm a person."
Yeah.
It's like before the shadow was cut off of him, was he like, "I can't wait to like walk around with you some more," or like when you cut him off, does he become fully real? I don't know, but anyway, the shadow trying to escape. Virginia says the shadow was my favorite character. It held all the personality, and it did.
It did. Well, to be fair, like I told you, one of the Lost in Translation parts was the translation from Kokoro to mind. It's supposed to be mind, heart, soul, and inner self, and that is everything that the shadow was. Because he was the mind. Because when the shadow dies, his mind is gone. So he's all of those things.
And the unicorns soak it up or something.
Exactly.
But like the shadow, in relation to like the real world man, and like, is that just a subconscious desire to break out of this? And okay, so that makes my little head train is now going here because like one of the only reasons that he didn't die from the Calcutech procedure is because he already created this walled-in universe on his own,
Yes.
right?
Well, yeah, and his was actually like a story. It wasn't fragmented.
But at one point, the professor said that he wrote it. He wrote this. Did he write the story?
Yeah, that's the inner story. No, the professor didn't have it. I don't think the professor had anything to do with the story. He edited it together to make it more fluid. But I think the story was already there, and every person had a different story.
Oh gosh.
But his was the only one that made sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I feel like we're overlooking something.
Well, they said that he had that because of trauma or some major event in his childhood or earlier life.
So something happened that's
Which wasn't in the book.
splintered his conscious mind.
Yeah. Well, and he even acknowledged it when the professor was like, something like this happened. He's like, oh, you might have a point. Like he did. He acknowledged it really vaguely, but he did.
Oh my gosh. So because of some trauma or event that happened, it splintered his consciousness. This is the only reason why the shuffling procedure that was performed on his head worked.
Yeah.
But as a result, so there ended up. Oh my God, I'm about to go into a coma. So there was a diagram. There were like 3 junctions. Give me that. Give me this. If y'all flip through the book.
Oh yeah, I like the fancy drawings and diagrams that come in this book that are all basically just scribblies.
Yeah.
here's a line and an X. Do you get it now? And I was like, no, I
Tell you,
don't.
he made it very clear.
There, it was super clear. There's junction A,
Yes.
B, and C, and like, oh my god, I don't even know where I'm.
But they don't connect.
I don't even know where I'm going with
They
this.
don't connect. Shouldn't there be an intersection or something?
Well,
This is a subway I never want
on
to take.
YouTube, Mike said, I thought the Calcutex built the wall because they cordoned off a section of his brain that he didn't have access to. And you're right. They did build the wall, or they at least like reinforced it.
So this is normal state. And then here's what the professor did. I don't even know where I'm going with this anymore.
I don't know. Those meant nothing to me. I didn't get it.
Mike says, I thought the Calcutex
I
built
just
a
read that.
wall because... Oh, you did? Sorry.
But yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you, Mike. They did build it, but he had something in his previous years that kind of structured it differently.
Like, I wonder almost if he had, like, what if he already had, I don't know the technical term. I don't think you're supposed to call it split personality anymore. But, like, what if he already had something buried in his subconscious that, is how he dealt with things.
Scott says this is reminding him too much of Bruce Banner from Ang Lee's Hulk, which that was the one that didn't make it into the universe.
So I listened. So I'm sitting here looking at the back of the book, and whoever the copywriter is for this little, I don't know, it's not a sizzle reel, but it's it's just a little blurb about the book. They are the best copywriter in the world. I'm going to read it really quickly. Hyperkinetic and relentlessly inventive, hard-boiled Wonderland and the End of the World is Haruki Murakami's deep dive into the very nature of consciousness. Across two parallel narratives, Murakami draws readers into a mind-bending universe which Lauren Bacall, Bob Dylan, and a split-brain data processor, a deranged scientist, his shockingly undemure granddaughter, and various thugs, librarians, and subterranean monsters collide in dazzling effect. What emerges is a novel that is at once hilariously funny and a deep, serious meditation on the nature and uses of the mind.
Okay, well, other than the hilariously funny part, though, I totally
So
agree
listen,
with
this
you.
is what I feel like. Whoever wrote this read the book like we did and was just trying to pick out things that they could grasp onto and list them. They were like, oh, we got Lauren Bacall, Bob Dylan, a data processor, deranged. Yeah, these are all in the book, I guess. Consciousness. Yeah.
Oh, Argenia, thank you. She wants me to start reading audiobooks. I would love to read audiobooks by day.
Well, go for it. Dan Lafferty says the back of the book was horribly misleading, and he was sold by it.
Yeah, I
It was
think-
quite a bait and switch.
Yeah.
I feel like it's misleading if you read it before you read the book. But if you read it after you read the book, you're like, okay.
But I mean, I think Dan, I don't know, it was Joe or Dan, somebody in the last discussion was like, I'm waiting for Bob Dylan, because they had read that in the back, and and it's in maybe like 2 paragraphs.
Well, technically, he was in there. I love this. They were all about semantics. Everything that they said was in there was
That's true.
technically
Yes,
in there.
it was.
So I'm gonna write a blurb for our book club. We're really gonna oversell ourselves.
Did you have any more stuff on here?
Yeah. Well, going back to the shadow really quick, what do y'all think happened after the shadow and the dude split? He was going to go into the pool to escape. What do you think happened? Did he make it? Did he die?
Did the shadow die?
I like
However you want to interpret the question.
Okay.
I like to think that maybe the body woke up and that portion of his personality took over.
I have a hard time going along with that one. I want to say, okay.
But who knows,
So,
right?
so I want to believe that the whirlpool was an escape. Otherwise, if the shadow dies, then it's basically the same result as what was going to happen in the first place, right? Or
is
maybe, maybe. So
You okay?
says, okay, so maybe it did just happen the way it happened, because like he did, like, he went into like sleep mode, and like, because I pictured like whenever his brain switched over for good, he was just gonna be kind of like catatonic. He's just gonna be like, and they were gonna find him and deep freeze him. But then, so the shadow jumped in. That was the moment in which he lost his mind. Like, maybe the shadow did for real die. He lost his mind. The guy went into consciousness, and it just ended. That's just the way it was. It just was. It's like the ending of Lost. There really is nothing more to read into it. It just, everything was what it was.
Real quick interruption. Matthew on Facebook asks, how do you enter the giveaway? You just did.
Yeah,
That's all
so
you had to do. You just had to
drop a
comment.
comment.
You just had to comment during
Hi,
the
Matthew.
live stream, and that was good enough.
Welcome.
Well, and Jennifer says, I kind of think the shadow dying / escaping was his mind / body shutting down.
Yeah, that's kind of what I said, but not as eloquently.
You were talking for a really long time.
I'm sorry. That's what.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
What do you think?
I want to think that he got frozen by the chubby girl and awoke.
The girl in pink. Let's call
I
her the
know.
girl in pink. Let's be better.
The girl in
than
pink. Thank you.
Haruki.
That they finally consummated their weird relationship and had lots of babies, and he became a better person in the
But
end.
he woke up as
No,
the
that didn't
shadow.
happen.
But he woke up as the
Nah.
shadow.
No, I don't think he woke up.
I
don't
don't
think
know.
he woke up.
I honestly
I
have
think
no
she
idea.
froze him, and then when she's 35, she wakes him up, and it's the shadow. And she's like, you're all the interesting parts that are left over from this personality. Let me reintroduce you to the world. And then they live happily ever after.
I think the shadow died.
Shh,
Might
no.
What do you think?
I think I'm more on the side with Talia, where I think the shadow escaped and was able to come back. And I think the guy woke up in his car with the music playing.
That's
But
that's
he's
too
but
it's
he's
too
like-
optimistic. It's
So-
too idealistic.
Hey, but it's open to interpretation, and maybe I want an optimistic interpretation, so don't poo-poo on my
See,
interpretation.
I see this one as like the cop-out, like science fiction ending where, you know, all of a sudden like you see a window open and a breeze, and the guy like wakes up and rubs his eyes and be like, "Wait, it was all a dream," and then it cuts to black, and you're like,
It was
"Lame."
indigestion from that Italian.
Yeah, I ate. Man, it must have been that Italian food I ate, and then he just.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, here's something. Are the events in his head occurring at the same time as the events in Tokyo? Are they parallel to each other, or do they occur at different paces? For example, does the end of the world take place after the character dies?
Oh man.
So I did think about that too, because I was wondering about the timeline of the librarian. I was like, did she exist before he actually met her, and then like morphed her into something else in his brain? So I was wondering how those timelines actually met. It is possible for me that they did not happen at the same time, but in order to make my happy shadow wake up dream world come true, I'm going to have to argue that they were simultaneous.
I was under the impression that they were simultaneous, and the head world, the end of the world, is like a dream, right? Like when you dream, like you can dream like a whole dream in like the minute before you wake up,
Yeah.
and like so time doesn't flow like it does, and so like there's a lot of time that passes. It seems like in the end of the world.
Oh, Vicky made a good point. She said parallel. Toward the end, when things were beginning to merge, his memories reflected both ways. Like when he was doing
That's
Danny
true.
Boy in both
Oh,
timelines.
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yep.
And he was thinking, you know, he was like describing it, but then he was like, "There's a river," and he was like, "The professor didn't mention a river."
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do like that, but I agree that maybe the passage of the times themselves, while they overlap, the passage itself maybe is not exactly the same. Maybe time does pass differently there, but I agree.
Time is an illusion. It's the fire in which we burn.
My head hurts.
It's
I like
it's
that
deep.
question that you have there.
Yeah. So,
And I go ahead,
well, I'm
Chrissy.
going to start something new. So if you want to go ahead.
Oh no, no,
Okay.
you go ahead.
Well, at the halfway point, we all preferred the Tokyo storyline, at least us four did, over the town storyline. I know Matt Scalisi said in a comment already, and Scott did on the Literarily Wasted Lounge, basically that they were enjoying the Tokyo part for the first half, and then it kind of flipped
Let's
in the
make a
second
poll.
half. So, and they ended up enjoying the end of the world. And I think someone else kind of alluded to that as well. So what do y'all think? Ending this book, like, especially in the second half,
Uh-oh.
what was the best
Can't make a poll.
storyline to you?
So for me, that was not the case. I did enjoy the Tokyo part more in the first half, but honestly, as it went on, I actually had a harder time separating the two storylines, and it started to blend together more for me. So I didn't really prefer one over the other. I thought it was, for me, I legit was just bouncing back and forth. It felt like a necessary balance.
I always preferred the Tokyo storyline. I think it had more, and by design, I think it had more personality. And I thought it was funnier. Like, I know that we went last time, we were like, this isn't a funny book, but I actually thought it was like funny in its sort of quirkiness in Tokyo. The end of the world felt like, I know it's supposed to be a
Heavy.
utopia, but it felt heavy and dry and like
Gray.
dull and
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and plus it to me, the end of the world stuff didn't give you enough. And granted, I was listening, so it's hard to gauge chapter length. I mean, I could go back and see the actual length, but yeah, there just wasn't anything there. It was like two characters talking, and then all of a sudden they cut, and it's over to Tokyo for what felt like 6 times the amount of length, and he was just all over the place. So if I had to go with one, I'd go with Tokyo, just because there was more. But again, I could kind of leave both of them.
Okay.
Well, for me, the first half of the book, I really liked the Tokyo storyline better. And then in the second half of the book, I was more invested in the town storyline. Like, I felt like it really was the end of at least his world. And I was rooting for something. So.
Yeah. Roberta is taking volunteers to see who wants to write a Murakami fanfic on YouTube.
Yeah, Leanne says, I like the end mainly because I wanted to throat punch the Tokyo side of the guy in the first half. I agree with that.
fair.
I definitely wanted to. This was not.
He had
I was
some
like,
moments
you are
where
not
he
a
was
good
extremely
person.
unlikable.
I
Yeah,
liked him.
and
I thought he was funny.
but Jennifer says she liked the town the entire time.
Yeah, so I think we have it pretty split, actually.
Mike says this is sort of what I was saying earlier. It might take what feels like years in the end of the world, but in reality will only be a few minutes or hours. It's like that Star Trek episode, The Inner Light, where he
There it is.
experiences a whole lifetime in 20 minutes. Chrissy saw that one.
I've
There
seen
it
that
is.
recently.
Yeah, we watched it together.
Is that TNG?
Yeah, it's a good
It's
one.
been a while.
Um,
I can't remember.
One of the things I had found interesting for me personally was the title of the book is Hardboiled Wonderland and the End of the World. And I was expecting the end of the world, like the apocalypse. And I was expecting that to happen in the Tokyo timeline. And it took me a really long time to shift my idea of the end of the world to the edge of the world. It's not, I guess it is kind of the end of his world too, but I guess I really started thinking it's the edge of the world, kind of. I don't know.
I like
And
that
it's all
interpretation.
in his head.
Yeah. Ashley K on YouTube says Tokyo was definitely my favorite, but I learned like certain things of the town story. Missy says he left his poor shadow hanging at the last second. Yeah, he pulled like an
He
Armageddon there.
betrayed his
Yeah.
shadow.
That part hurt me. I was real
He's
sad.
like, we promised, we agreed.
I know. Like, I get what he was trying to do for the librarian, but still, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
His poor shadow.
That's like, yeah, that was some It was a not a good move.
Oh wait, scroll up for a second. Someone said, Victoria, Talia mentioned the Tokyo parts were gray. The town. The town for me was gray. The town is what I felt was heavy and colorless, and Tokyo felt like the real world for me. Just to clarify. What? What are you laughing at?
Jeff's comment. Hey man, you really screwed me. Can't you fix this? Nah, bro, you're effed. But look what I did. That shit is like so awesome. I'm gonna take a vacay, enjoy eternity.
Oh,
That's pretty much how it went. That professor was so like aloof and sort of non-caring about anything.
Yeah.
He's just like,
yeah, we screwed up your brain and now you're gonna die. Sorry about it. But hey, you took longer to die than everybody else, I guess.
Yeah, but he also is not dying really, like because there was like a concept of immortality, and he says like, yeah, you're gonna be immortal. You're gonna be like it's gonna be forever. Somebody mentioned on YouTube. Oh yeah, it was Mike. No, who was it? Where was it?
Is it in the movie?
Somebody said. Missy said, doesn't the scientist say something about the other world being a kind of immortality in which all things happen at once? Which I feel we're watching so many like sci-fi things right now that like that concept exists in like Star Trek Discovery with Spock, and you have to watch it.
Wait, when he said he was going to be immortal, did he mean like in the upload thing? Like, remember he uploaded his brain into like the watchable movie thingamajigger. Is that what he meant? Like his mental being is just going to exist in like that thing that he uploaded, and that's where he's going to be?
I didn't get that.
I didn't either. I just now thought about it since my brain's already tired.
I kind of assume that he's going to be immortal. Well, he'll be in a comatose state, but then he'll be living on in his brain at the end of the world.
But that's not immortal.
We should do that question.
I don't get it.
Oh. So,
because I want to know what other people think of that one.
We've kind of talked about the fantasy elements in Tokyo and how they may or may not fit. But one of the things that I thought was the most random and barely mentioned was the unicorn skull lighting up.
In the real world.
In the real world, in Tokyo.
Because it was a fake skull, right? It was a replica.
He was told it was a
told
replica.
that.
But why did it light up?
Why does it light up?
But did it? Oh, never mind. It did. Because I was gonna say, did it actually, or did his breaking brain think it did? But then the librarian saw it glowing too.
He was like, "Hey, that's cool."
Yeah. What do y'all think?
But I mean, okay, hear me out. If Professor Dude Man is capable of turning sound off, is he not capable of creating a skull replica that can glow? Oh my God, words are really hard.
So it's not necessarily that like. So, but it did glow. Like that's the weird thing, and it was glowing at the same time that in the other world he was trying to put together the Danny Boy and like read the mind of the library. It was like, he was doing the whole like overnight like.
It's mentally connected to him.
Yeah.
Well, then it's probably not a replica.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to go that deep into it.
Joe says brainwaves going crazy made it light up, or whiskey probably.
Vicky says the professor is an unreliable explainer. It could have all been BS. So yeah, I totally think he was unreliable.
Oh, he was definitely unreliable. I couldn't trust that guy with anything. But boy, could that girl make sandwiches.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're coming up on the hour, so let's leave this book with some final thoughts. Me? You?
My overall caption is still, wait, what?
It's this emoji. For me, this is probably my least favorite book that we've read. Yeah.
You know what? I actually enjoyed, I'm not going to say, like, I really enjoyed this book, because part of me didn't.
Our dogs disagree with you, Lucas.
But I enjoyed it more than do Android's Stream of Electric Sheep.
See, I liked Androids better just because I had the tie-in with the movie, so I appreciate the larger world. And I don't know. I'd have to look back at our list, our our world tour season. But yeah, this one falls very low for me. Maybe after I read the article, I'm gonna give it a chance, and maybe I'll come back with something insightful. But that's where I stand.
So for me, this was. Dan says it wasn't worse than the Umbrella Academy. I bizarrely liked it, but also was like meh about it at the same time. Like the most fun for me is like talking through it. And I know Talia, like we're hurting your brain, but like this is like the fun part for me.
I think we hurt your brain too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My brain it's oozing out of my ears into my headphones. It's really liquidy in here. Yeah, it's gross. But I really like it was way more enjoyable than Interview with a Vampire. You know, it's a different kind of storytelling than what I'm used to. So like I really would like to give Murakami another chance and read more of his stuff. It was yeah. I mean I think Jess summed it up, and this is the middle of the road for me. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm glad to have experienced it. Amber liked it. It was fun. I thought it was fun too. I thought there were definitely like some fun parts that like didn't. And then there was a lot of not fun parts. I just don't know. Like I would love to continue. I could talk about it if you wanted to. We could just ramble on about this book for hours and get nowhere probably. But that's the way I am.
Agree with that too.
Christy.
I really liked it, and like I said, I'm still thinking about it and I'm still figuring it out, and this discussion really helped that. But I think I'm going to be thinking about this book for a long time, and I also think this is one I'm going to need to reread because I think that a second reading is going to be very enlightening.
Yeah. So just to see what other people are saying about it. Nicole says, I've enjoyed the journey and all the ways it made me keep re-guessing what would happen next, but it was definitely a book that made my mind mash potatoes.
That's fair.
Nikki says, it was a book. I read it to the end. I'm going to mark that on my read list or read list on Goodreads. Then I'm going to give the book away. Vicky says, I think this would be better as a short story. I kind of agree.
Yeah, I would
Joe
agree
says,
with that.
as weird as this was, I would definitely read something else by Murakami. Over on YouTube, Roberta, I love this book. I recommend reading a couple other more accessible Murakami books and coming back to Hard Boiled. It'll make a lot more sense. Cool dog, by the way.
Yeah.
I kind of want mashed potatoes now.
I would agree with Roberta. I want to give this author another chance because I'm not an author. And I was like, can I write a better book than this? I don't know. Probably not. But I want I want to give him another chance. And I would really like to find something more accessible. And I'm open. And that's what I think this book club has taught me, is that it really has, discussing with you guys has opened up my mind to a lot of different things. And I would like to come back and maybe revisit it. I want to read the article, and maybe it changes my mind.
The article's really
that's
good.
why
I highly suggest it to everybody.
Yeah, this is definitely one that I would go read some stuff later on.
And I think partially for where we are in the world right now, I kind of wanted a nice ending that I could button up and have some good, nice closure to, just because everything's so ambivalent and kind of crazy right now that
I'm about to read all of the happy stories.
It just added to that, level of anxiety of like, I just needed closure and I needed a finite, some sort of reassurance, because there's not a lot of reassurance right now.
So Vicky said, I just started reading with this book club. Also, Lucas, I could read books. She not
Vicky.
wrong.
Love you, Vicky.
But yeah, so anyway, let's keep talking about it. But look forward to April. It's The Magicians. And Dan's already campaigning here. It says, for real guys, for April, I think we could get Lev Grossman to talk to us about The Magicians.
We probably could. He did. He liked our tweet when I posted our book announcement on Twitter. He did like it.
And I think now more than ever,
He
people
did not talk to us.
Celebrities, authors, musicians are maybe open to some of that right now.
Yeah, I feel like people are a little more accessible during this current climate.
So we'll reach out to him like we did with Hugh Howey. Maybe we can do some extra stuff with him. Now that we know how to like Skype people into live videos, maybe we could actually like Skype him in to a conversation. That'd be
amazing.
That'd be epic.
So cross your fingers and let's all like spam his Twitter or something.
Not yet. I'm going to start reading it first. Wait until April.
Yeah. So again, if you haven't left a comment yet, if you've just been lurking, first of all, why? But second of all, leave a comment because then you can be entered to win the Mostly Mystery Box giveaway, which is a gift card that works at Books A Million and Second and Charles, and
Online. Stay in your home.
And we hope that y'all are staying safe and
washing your hands.
Washing your hands. And thank you so much for joining us today. It's a crazy time, but I think we're really fortunate to have this really great group of people that we can come together with no matter what's going on.
Yeah.
And Jean, this comment is for you. Ghostbusters is the best movie ever made.
All right. Lucas, did you have a...
Yeah, so don't forget, if you like podcasts, this is in podcast format. We obviously we'll have it up this week. So if you want to follow along, go subscribe and rate our podcast on whatever podcatcher you prefer. That will help us get more eyeballs on Literarily Wasted. And, we've been doing Adventures in Reading, and we're doing it weekly right now just because of the state of things. And we've got a special guest this week reading, and that would be Talia. And Talia, do you want to show our lovely book club what we're going to read?
Uh-huh.
Zombie Pen Pal. We know that Talia loves zombies, and so Talia is going to be our guest reader, and I will be monitoring the comments. So look out for more Zombie Pen Pal. We'll post an event.
The guy on the cover looks super creepy, and he's got a bone sticking out of his leg.
So, yes. But is Talia going to act it out? Asked Vicky. Well, Talia is an actress, so I would only assume.
No.
Yeah, so join us Sunday night. That'll be 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. Adam, anything else? Guys, we do have Geek Word. Go check out Geek Word. That's another content channel that we're throwing stuff out there here and there, but Adam and his brother Brandon and I have a podcast there called Geek Fight. So we've got 3 episodes up, but go check that out and like and subscribe to that. And that's just a fun, geeky, fun aside that we do. And Adam, you want to talk about, we did some Animal Crossing streaming, so we may do some other stuff.
And we were talking about doing just like a little happy hour hangout for Literarily Wasted. So don't even have to read the book to join the live stream. Just come hang out with us and we can talk about whatever we want. But we'll post details about that sometime when we figure out when we want that to be. Maybe we'll do a poll. But we...
Tucky, hang
because
on.
Did we get poll results?
I didn't post it because if I type it'll screw up the switching software.
Got it.
Scott, you're wrong. Mega Man 2 is better. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate y'all hanging out with us and being such an awesome book club. And we're looking forward to reading The Magicians and hanging out with y'all and doing more stuff. So
Yeah.
Yay!
Stay lit.
Stay lit, y'all.
But inside.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.